Being a collector in 2025 is getting harder and harder. Prices are going up. And quality, a lot of the times, is going down. Some lines feel like they cutting corners, and some other lines just feel like they pricing people out. But one brand that's still kind of surprising me lately is Transformers. From budget figures to complex masterpieces, they seem to offer a little something for everybody. So today, we're diving into it. Is Transformers the best deal in figures right now? Let's break it down with 5 pros and cons. Stick around. Generational appeal. Transformers isn't like just one thing. You've got figures for every kind of fan and basically every age group. G1 collectors still get a chance to get modern updates, and we're still getting deep cut characters. Movie fans get studio series characters, and kids watching Earthspark can get down with us too and feel like they're collecting with us. Like, everybody can live when it comes to Transformers. It's a franchise that respects the past but still looks ahead, and that keeps the shelves interesting. One thing that Transformers has going for it, and one thing that's really easy to overlook, is how well it bridges generations. Transformers is not just living in the past, and it's not chasing trends. It's doing both, and it's doing both pretty well. If you grew up in the 80s with the original G1 cartoon, Hasbro's given us modern updates of those exact characters through the Studio and Legacy series. They've taken those blocky bricks that we used to love as kids and they kind of reimagined them and sculpting that's true to the original, the kind of stuff that we're used to. And for collectors like us, or collectors in my age bracket, that hits the nostalgia core right there. Right exactly where it needs to be. So if you're a parent, you can grab your G1 Optimus while your kid grabs an Earthspark Twitch, and you're both in the same universe. And let's not forget about the Beast Wars fans. For a long time, they were kind of like the forgotten middle child. And not for nothing, those were my favorite when they came out. I love Beast Wars. But now, with Kingdom and Rise of the Beast, they kind of getting their shine back. So Transformers is not just generational. It's era specific. You got the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and current fans all represented. And that's pretty rare. Transformers is a brand where parents, kids, collectors, and even casual fans can find a version of Optimus or Megatron that means something to them. Not many figure lines can say that. Too many sublines. Let's just talk about something that can get overwhelming real quick. The number of sublines in the Transformers brand. Just to name a few, you got Legacy, Studio Series 86, Masterpiece, Earthspark, Rise of the Beast, Shattered Glass, Selects, even Red, for people who don't like to transform their figures. That's a lot of product lines, and those are just the main ones. For the newer collectors, it's kind of hard to tell what's the main line and what's a separate universe. Is Studio Series just for the movies? Why are there G1 characters in Studio Series 86 and Legacy? What's exclusive? What's still ongoing? It kind of creates this information overload. You really need to research every single wave just to figure out what fits together, what goes in your shelf, what scales good, what's actually worth your money. And when the line does get canceled, it might leave you with gaps in your collection that you're never really gonna fill. If you're the type of collector that likes to build a clean, unified display, or follow a specific story, then Transformers could be chaos. It's each subline is its own multiverse. Legacy is remixing every era. Studio Series is trying to be screen accurate. Earthspark is clearly aimed at kids. And then we have Red, which looks great on the shelf, but it's not really transforming. It's almost like walking into a buffet and not knowing what's good, or even what's still fresh. Sales and availability. Now, this one right here is a big deal, especially if you're like me and you collect on a budget. Transformers is one of the few major lines that still has a strong retail presence and regular sales. You can still walk into a Target, a GameStop, a Walmart, and still find a decent selection any day of the week. And when they're not there, you can almost certainly find them on Amazon, Hasbro Post, Big Bad Toy Store, places like that. And the best part is they don't really have those crazy markups. Now compare that to other figure lines where you feel like if you miss that 5-minute pre-order window, you're assed out or you're feeding the scalpers. With Transformers, patience usually pays off. And I see sales happening pretty regular. I've seen Deluxes drop down to $17, Voyagers drop down to $25, Leader class figures dropping down to $35 on sales and clearances. And Hasbro does a solid job of keeping that product in rotation. You're not always battling with scalpers or dealing with a lot of these one-time exclusives. And yes, they do have exclusives like Target's Buzzworthy or those Amazon multi-packs. But even those exclusives tend to restock more frequently than a Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legend. And honestly, that makes a big deal for collectors who want to finish teams or finish waves over time. You don't feel like you have to panic buy everything the minute it drops. Like FOMO isn't as big with Transformers. That retail consistency adds a level of stability that other lines just don't have. Minimal accessories. So now when it comes to accessories, Transformers usually keeps it pretty minimal. Most figures come with like a single blaster, a sword, something small, and that's about it. And while the transformation is really where the value's at, a lot of collectors that like to pose their figures or build dynamic displays might feel a little bit underwhelmed. Compare that to something like G.I. Joe Classified, where you're getting weapons, alternate hands, a helmet, second head sculpt, and that's all for $25. In that same price range, Transformers might give you a blaster or a sword and maybe a good paint job if you're lucky. And I get it. Engineering a figure that transforms is already a complex task. That budget gotta go somewhere, and it's gonna go in the parts and articulation needed to pull off that conversion. But if you're into figure photography, posing, or creating scenes, you're probably gonna miss the versatility that comes with swapping hands, changing faces, or adding like those blast effects. With that being said, it is kind of fun when a weapon turns into like part of a car or becomes like its armor or its wings. In my opinion, I feel like Transformers doesn't really call for accessories the way that other lines do because they're already doing something that the other lines don't do. And that right there is the trade-off, the wide range of price points. One thing that Transformers really has going for right now is that it really covers every kind of collector, and that's because of its wide range of price points. You're not boxed into like a $30, $40 figure like you are with some other lines. You can jump in at core class for like $10. Deluxe figures are going for $25. Voyager class figures are going for $35. And then you could just move up to Leader, Commander, Titan class if you really want to go that big. That kind of tiered system gives you the availability to collect based on your budget and your space. If you want something for your desk at work, you can grab a core class. If you want a centerpiece for your shelf, you can go with a Commander class Jetfire, or maybe a Titan class Metroplex is more your style. It's also great for families or new collectors. As a parent, you can walk into a store and buy a $10 to $15 for your kid with no real commitment. At the same time, adult collectors who want a more screen accurate and complex figure can spend a little bit more and get that premium experience. And the thing about it is this, each price point feels like they really thought it out. A deluxe figure feels like a complete figure. It doesn't feel like a stripped down version. A Voyager figure adds size and engineering. You're not paying just for more plastic. You're paying for more features, more transformation steps, and more shelf presence. And yeah, once you go into Masterpiece or third party, those prices jump fast. But as for Hasbro's main line, they've done a pretty good job at keeping things approachable. So whether you're a kid with allowance, a casual collector, or someone who just wants the biggest, toughest version of Optimus Prime, Transformers kind of meets you where you're at. And that's just something a lot of other lines don't offer right now. Sticker shock at higher tiers. So while it's true that Transformers has a great range of price points, once you start climbing the tiers to those higher levels, those price points start hitting real hard. $90, $100 for a Commander class. You can pay up to like $200 for a Titan class. And these are retail prices. These are not aftermarket prices. And I get it too. There's a lot of plastic, complex engineering, multiple modes, accessories, sometimes minifigures included. But for collectors who are used to dropping $25 to $35 on a figure, dropping $200 on one piece might feel like you're jumping into a whole new hobby. Unlike the other premium figures and other lines, Transformers does not come with swappable hands, alternate heads, soft goods, display bases. It really doesn't come with that. What you're paying for is scale and transformation complexity, which is cool, but that can be hard to justify if you're not like a hardcore fan. And if you're married or living with roommates, good luck trying to explain why a robot the size of a toddler just showed up in your living room. Those Titan class figures don't just hit your wallet. They take up space in real estate. To be fair, those high-end figures are everything. They deliver on presence and fun factor. But if you're not already committed to the line, that sticker shock can be a real barrier to entry, especially in today's economy where even like a Voyager class figure at $35 makes you think twice and you're like, do I really need this? So yeah, Transformers can be budget friendly, but once you step into the big leagues, you're definitely going to be feeling it in your wallet. They transform. One of the biggest selling points that Transformers has And one thing that no other line really has is basically the fact that you're getting 2 figures for the price of 1. Robot mode, check. Alt mode, check. And depending on which character you're talking about, you're getting a car, a jet, a beast, a space shuttle, sometimes a full-blown city. That dual mode really gives Transformers an unmatched sense of variety and play value. Even if the figure doesn't come with accessories, the transformation itself becomes the interaction. It's like a puzzle that becomes your figure. And when you're not displaying them, you have options. You want a full robot shelf? You can do that. You want to build a whole fleet of Decepticons? You can do that too. You want to build a convoy of Autobots lining up on the other side? Go for it. That level of flexibility adds some fun that static figures just don't bring to the table. And honestly, even after years of collecting, there's still something satisfying about a transformation that feels smooth and clever. And some of these newer transformations are like modern feats of engineering. Legacy Evolution and Studio Series especially, you're not just opening a figure and putting it on the shelf. You're interacting with it, you're learning it, you're mastering it. So when you think about it from a value standpoint, you're getting 2 forms, 2 display styles, and an engaging experience all in one figure. That right there is something that very few lines can match. And it's one of the reasons I think Transformers holds up so well today. Transformation frustration. Now let's talk about the downside of that 2-for-1 value we just hyped up in the last section. Because sometimes transforming these things can be straight up stressful. Yeah, it's cool that we could turn a robot into a jet, but if the process makes you break out in a sweat, then it's not always going to be fun. Some figures transform like butter, but some figures, it's like you need a PhD in mechanical engineering just to get them to do what they gotta do. Raise your hand if you've ever had to watch a YouTube tutorial just to pause it every 2 seconds just to wind up with something that looks like a robot pretzel. Because that's happened to me. The thing with Transformers is those instructions don't always help. They usually just grayscale line art. A lot of the times they skipping steps, and a lot of the times they showing weird angles. Sometimes you're kind of stuck flipping panels and rotating joints in a way that you may be scared to do it. And you just hope like, yo, I do not want to hear or feel this Transformer crap. That kind of frustration can be a turnoff for newer collectors. If you're just getting into Transformers and it takes you 45 minutes to pull off a transformation and it still doesn't look right, that's not really going to be the best first impression. And even for longtime fans, some transformations can feel over-engineered. Sometimes you just want to pick up a figure to relax, and the next thing you know, you rage Googling how to transform something without breaking it. So while the transformations are part of the appeal, there's definitely a learning curve. And sometimes that curve feels more like a brick wall. If you're someone who wants instant, out-of-the-box posability, this might be one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to Transformers. Unless you're going to take them out the box and leave them in robot mode and never transform them, like, ever. Scale doesn't matter. Let's keep it real. The scale doesn't always make sense in Transformers. And that's actually part of the charm. We don't get that freedom with other lines, and that's usually the cause of a lot of our gripes. Transformers is a universe where a robot could be the size of a dog, or at the same time, it could be the size of a city. You got characters like Ravage who could turn into a cassette tape. And on the other side, you got characters like Metroplex or Trypticon that could step on your house. Transformers has never been the line that plays by the rules of realism. The magic of the brand is that it leans into the absurd in the best possible way. You don't see fans getting mad that Soundwave's chest can hold a mini robot. And if you're not really obsessed with those screen accurate lineups, you can kind of like embrace that chaos. Mix and match, go big, go small. You can build a display where scale is a suggestion and not a restriction. It's like there's freedom in that, and that's kind of what gives Transformers its own flavor. Not every shelf has to be perfectly measured out, and sometimes letting go of scale makes your collection more fun, more creative, and more you. Scale does matter. Now, with that being said, if you're a die-hard collector, especially one who wants to build a screen-accurate display or complete a full team, the inconsistency in the scale could be a nightmare. You'll start noticing that some characters are way too small or way too big compared to the other ones. You might have 5 different versions of Optimus Prime, but only one of them really fits the scale that you're checking for. And if you're a completionist, forget it. Some characters have never been released at the scale that you may want. Or even worse, maybe they were, but that was like 10 years ago, and now now you're dealing with those aftermarket prices for that exact scale. This stuff kind of matters when you're trying to build a team with cohesion and make everything look like it goes together. You want your Autobots to look like a team. You don't want them to look like you put them together from 5 different multiverses. So when Hasbro jumps around in size classes from year to year, it could be frustrating for people who care about that consistency. So yeah, for the casual fan, scale might not matter. But for the detail-focused collector, that's not just a nitpick. That's something that could make or break your collection. So that's really my take on it. Transformers is a unique line that offers a little bit of something for everybody. From the wildly inconsistent scale that adds to creativity and freedom of your figures, to the scale frustrations that could really mess with a completionist plan. But that's the beauty of this line. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Whether you're in it for the fun, the nostalgia, or the challenge of completing the perfect display, there's something for everyone. So what about you? Are you the type of collector that embraces the chaos and loves the variety? Maybe you even get a kick out of mixing up the sizes. Or are you more about the consistency, wanting everything to be just right on your shelf? To be honest, Transformers wouldn't be as much fun if it was all about one set of rules. It's really the flexibility that makes it such a fun and unique hobby. But for some, that flexibility may feel a little overwhelming. Whatever side you're on, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your take on the whole scale issue? Do you like your figures different sizes, or does it bother you when things don't add up? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Until next time, peace.